Hey, what's up, guys? Let me add my friend Dr. Harrison in here. Give me 1 second. Right. He should be joining in anytime. So you guys don't leave me. So I reached out. Oh, perfect. He's here. There you go, my
What's
man. How
going
you
on, man?
doing? How you
I'm
doing,
good.
man?
Yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. Looking great as usual. Always looking clean. Love to see you. Always, man. I'm out here with an afro, and it's just always clean. I love it.
I
I
had to
love
jump
it.
in and get that shave in before I got on this, man.
Oh, sounds about right. I got a little love. I love it. How you feeling today? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Just finished with a dissertation proposal, sitting on a committee, then working with another thesis student for her defense. Uh, and then I got this, and then football practice, and then I got to get my workout in.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds like a pretty good Wednesday. It's Wednesday today, right? Yeah, it sounds like a pretty good
Yeah, right?
Wednesday. Yeah. All right. So for anyone watching who doesn't know, this is Dr. Antonio Harrison. He is a BCBA. He is a coach. He works directly as a coach for Supernatural. And overall, he's the ABA and fitness GOAT. That's the best way for me to put it. I know you're gonna argue with me on this, but he's 100%. That's what it is. And I
I
reached out
appreciate it, brother.
for sure, for sure. It's all love. I reached out to him because I really wanted to talk and kind of just share, hopefully pick his brain a little bit on ABA and fitness and virtual reality training and all of the stuff that he is mastering. So where would you like to start? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself first? Do you want to go directly into
Sure, I can do
ABA and
that.
fitness? Yeah.
So yeah, I'm from Pasadena, California, born and raised. Rough childhood, but it is what made me the behavior analyst that I am today as a BCBA-D. Just the ability to observe people and know exits in the room and in a split second decide who was safe and who wasn't. So luckily, I had the skill of knowing how to pass school
Yeah.
easily, which is a skill set,
It's a skill
And
set.
I I could also play sports. So I've been playing sports since I was 4 years old, organized ball, and it got me an academic scholarship to one of the best liberal arts colleges in the nation, Grinnell College, and I was a 4 year started there playing football, and thought I was going to be professional athlete, and then the inside of my ankle touched my groin, and I couldn't
Mhm.
walk for. It took me a year and a half to walk again. I was casted hip to toe 9 months, and so during that time, I went and got my master's and PhD. After that, came back home and 5 years, master's, PhD, and started teaching graduate school, high school varsity football coach. I still coach to this day. We actually got a game Friday. And then over time, from working with clients, doing a lot of consulting, my own personal clients and groups, and creating different things for myself, like a fitness line or a challenge journal for people to change their habits, and then working inside of virtual reality. So it's been a little bit all over the map, but it's been nice because I I've created and curated my journey, and I get to do what I want when I want, which is nice.
That's definitely why I look up to the most, the fact that you're able to kind of structure your life in a way that you're using your own skills to the max to help out as many people as you can. And I think you
Yeah.
do that better than anyone I know. You're really awesome at it. I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on ABA and fitness. As someone who lives ABA, like I live ABA every day of my life, all day, every day. Um, I wanted to ask you specifically about ABA and fitness. How is it that you personally utilize ABA and fitness in your own life?
So it's interesting in grad school, we're in behavior analysis, we're taught behaviors everywhere. We can change so many things and help so many people, but then 98% of our field is in dealing with the therapy of children or individuals with autism, which is great. There's not enough of us to help out there in that situation, and anyone who that is their thing, like, bless your heart. For me, it's not. I'd rather be on a football field. I tried the working as interventionist, a middle tier supervisor, consulting for large behavioral health organizations. And I would just literally prefer to be on a football field with kids in helmets, I prefer to be working with clients, regardless of a diagnosis or not, in terms of their fitness health. So I use it with clients that I have for one-on-one training. I use it for a group of women that I train all at one time. I use it for myself personally, the football team. And the funny thing is, a lot of the stuff coaches do, a lot of the stuff individual people do for their fitness routines and changing habits, it's behavior analysis.
They just don't know.
They just haven't put a term to it, and there are ways in which it can be extremely effective if done properly and appropriately based off of the science that's validated it, man.
I love it. So, like, tell me a little bit more about how you use it in your life, in your personal life, if you don't mind. Like, how do you use it?
Yeah, no.
For you. Yeah.
So, if you are a behavior analyst and we make database decisions, and you ask parents or anyone else to take data all the time, and you don't take data on yourself, come on now, what are you doing?
Walking like you talking.
What are you doing?
Walking like you talking.
Right. If you can't understand a parent who's got 3 kids, maybe working 2 jobs, and let's say it's a single parent who now has to take data every single day that you've asked them to do, and then you get stressed out because they did it 15 minutes before you walked in. If you're not taking data on your own stuff, you don't have no idea how difficult that is.
You just don't understand in terms of how life. You really just don't comprehend the response of it at all.
So I have on my desk what my schedule looks like. It's broken down by, my daily stuff that I have in terms of the certain hours of the day. It's broken down by another table, broken down by the certain responsibilities I have on a daily basis. So on Tuesdays, I've got a supervision meeting. Then it also has things that are, projects that I work on that are personal projects of mine, and then skill sets I want to learn that I don't currently have. Now, am I a robot? Do I follow that to a T? No, right? But I got a script or a blueprint from which I can be flexible. But if you don't have a blueprint, how are you going to build a house in the first place?
You're going to just put it up in your head and then just forget it.
Yeah, and so I can take a look at what I'm doing well, what is reinforcing for me, what I'm enjoying, what's being consistent and stable, and go, we can keep that like that. This other stuff, I got to switch it around, whether it's change the time of the day. Maybe that's something I really don't want to do or find reinforcing, right? Like maybe there's something I need to put as some sort of extrinsic potential preferred item or reward for me to say, let me increase the possibility of the motivation of me getting up and doing this thing. But I'm always tweaking and always experimenting.
I love that. I wish more people would live their life this way and kind of just, I kind of see my life as an experiment. Like you kind of got to try it out and see what works for you. And I think that's awesome. Like I need to level up and get to that level. I have something similar to what you have, but definitely that's a lot more detail than what I have going on, and I love that.
Well, I mean, and think about it. Curate. We talk about how everything we do is based off the individual and their history, right? So curate your own experience. For example, don't say, I got to change my life. I'm going to meditate, I'm going to journal, and I'm going to exercise. Well, maybe Zen meditation doesn't work for you. Maybe you need Nichiren Buddhism meditation. Maybe you need guided meditations. Maybe you need walking. Journaling may not work for you. Maybe you need to do a podcast. Maybe you need to actually write poetry. You want to work out. Don't just go hit the weights. Maybe swimming's your thing, or biking. Try different things until you find the thing that works, and that will continue to breed more and more variety and opportunities. But just to say, like, I should be reading a book every single day, at least 2 chapters, because I should, says who? Says who?
Like who?
Like, don't put those limits on yourself.
I love that. I think that's really important. A lot of the clients that I work with specifically, they tend to have a goal, and it's not, a lot of them is not necessarily in alignment with the behavior and stuff that they're supposed to be doing. And that makes it really difficult for them because they're like, the key is so clear. I know that I can do it. I have the resources and stuff. But then, like, they take a step back and they realize, hey, I'm not really engaging in the behaviors that are going to get me there. And it all really begins with choosing the right behaviors. It really does. It really, because at the end of the day, if you're, let's say you're, something that most people like reach out to me for is like six packs. I want a six pack. Like I want abs and I want a six pack. And I'm like, okay, what behaviors you're engaging in that are going to get you that sits back. Like, and let's say that, not even that. It's that sits back goal your actual goal? Is that something that you can maintain, right? A lot of people are just, that's not a good enough why. Your values have to be clear. Your values have to be completely spotless for you to know where you're going, so that the behaviors that you choose to engage in and continue to engage in actually get you to where you want to go. And
Yeah.
right?
No, I mean the when it comes to my why in terms of staying healthy and fit and keeping my body right, um, do I want to look good and be able to take my shirt off? Of course, right? I
Yeah.
want the attention like everyone else, but
Yeah.
my why is I'd like to be able to play with my grandkids.
Yes, that's the main
Like
one. Yep.
that's a bigger why. I
I
can
want to
I
pick them
can
up.
go out I can go outside right now and run around with my kids and teach them things and explore with them and enjoy my time with them in my life.
Be
And that to
present.
me, that's primary as opposed to the secondary fact of being able to take my shirt off. That's cool, but that's for other people, right? For me, it's the kids, man. Like so if you're not fully aware of why you're engaging in something, it's not gonna last.
It's not. Yeah, it's just not going to maintain. It's just, I'm not at all. I love that. Okay. So that brings me to my next point. I really wanted to talk to you about virtual reality coaching, because I have a VR set myself. And I just use it personally from like my personal use and everything. But I've done I've done, I would say, more research than most people on virtual reality and ABA, because I just think it's so cool, specifically on like training RBTs with VR and using VR to coach people. So I really wanted to pick your brain on like on that specifically, on virtual reality, and how you see that as I personally see it as the future of not only like fitness but overall coaching and training. That I from the reading that I've done, I know for a fact that you save a lot of money, save a lot of time, you save a lot of resources, and it's almost as effective as, or if not more, than having someone come in and train you. So tell me, like, yeah, jump in there, like whatever you feel
Yeah, no,
comfortable with. Yeah,
I think VR, AR, whatever they're going to come out with, XR next.
yeah,
This is the wave of the future, and here's why it's so effective, man. Uh, with virtual reality, and let me how do I want to say this? With virtual reality, you eliminate a lot of the aversive variables in the environment. If for someone like me, who's been an athlete since I was 4, played college football, know everything you can know about weightlifting, I don't like to go to a public gym. I don't like it because there's tons of people. I got to wait for people to get off the rack. Nowadays, you got 30 people standing in the mirror taking selfies, right?
uh-huh.
So that's one end of it.
Your
So I
machine
can hop in it.
moves, so you gotta like get another machine for your workout. The worst.
And that's for someone who's experienced in it. On the other end, for someone who's a novice in terms of fitness, do you know how intimidating it is for them to show up at a gym? One, it costs a ton of money. Two, you get there and there's all these machines and you're like, what do I do here? Three, there's an insecurity about looking incompetent in front of others, or weaker, or maybe not the what society tells us people should look like. And then if you want to get help, you got to pay more money to get a personal trainer.
It's literally taxing
It's
on top of
it's a
that.
lose lose.
Hmm. And then you gotta
Yeah.
spend more money on your diet too. Yep.
So at the end of the day, instead of doing that, I can spend some money on a headset, hop in, have vast variety of different ways to work out, sweat really, really hard, get a good workout in the comfort of my home until I start to feel more comfortable and competent and confident and make the decision about whether or not I do want to expand my fitness routine and go out from there. But again, someone who's a novice to someone who is an expert in terms of fitness, I would rather, that's why I got my whole gym right here in the garage, everything you can think of, plus my virtual reality headset. So it eliminates a lot of aversive variables. The one thing I will say is, if you are going to be a part of virtual reality, find a community that is going to support you in that, because at the end of the day, the one thing I want to make sure people do is still remain connected to each other and not isolated.
Yes.
right? So find a community who's going to support you on it, and that'll help you stay accountable and reach your goals.
Exactly. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, yeah, like you could have all these games. You could download the apps on your like on your VR and stuff. But if you yeah like if you don't have a community, like honestly,
Um,
the whole purpose of this year 2021 for my business is community. It's just building that community. Because if that's not in place, the likelihood of you maintaining, continuing that workout, it's really low. Like if you need,
yeah,
I mean, it's low. Even if you're not a very social person who, like maybe you're not that person who enjoys social praise, having that person to hold you accountable or someone that you trust to like hold you accountable is life changing. It really is for whatever skill set it is. And I know we're talking about fitness specifically, but whatever skill set,
no,
it's
you make a great point in that if you want to be successful in this world, and I don't mean material consumption, I mean successful as a human being, the biggest thing you can put stock into is the capital of relationships, period. Right? At the end of the day, the relationships I have is what got me where I am. Everyone thinks like I'm alone, I've done it by myself. You might feel like that, but there's been a teacher, there's been a firefighter, there's been a family friend, there's been somebody who's helped you along the way. Don't forget them, right? Like those relationships in themselves is what to me defines a successful life. And I don't mean how much money you got. I mean how much love you got.
the connections you made at the end of the day. I one of my favorite things that I really love is talking to older adults and like really talking to people who are like, getting up there in age. And like one of the main things that they talk about is exactly what you said, is what really mattered to them at the end, like where they are now, or they're retired, they have kids, grandkids, is the connections that they made. They have. I've spoken to people who are millionaires. I've spoken to people, like all kinds of people, different that are like up there in the age group, and the main thing is the connection and the time that they have to spend with the people that matter to them.
Yep.
And we live in this society right now where that's sometimes seen as a commodity. Like spending time with the people that like matter and doing the things that you enjoy is seen as a commodity. And as I really dive into this business, I really see it as a way for people to realize that there are better ways and there are other options for you to continue to grow and be better as a person. But that only happens if we understand that we need that community. And it only happens
Oh
if we
yeah. And you got to put in the work. And quite frankly,
yes.
people always say quite frankly, people will say there's not enough time. I got to do this. I got to pay bills. You make time, either make time for your priorities or make an excuse,
Mm-hmm.
point blank, right? Like, if hanging out with your kids is super important to you, well, then maybe you don't need cable in the house,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Shut up.
If having your alone time or your workout time is super important to you, but you work 12 hours a day, maybe you need to go to sleep and wake up an hour earlier to get that workout in. If it's a priority, you'll make time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really feel like you don't have time and you don't do anything but work, well, we got a bigger issue to talk about then, right? But is it working to get these things in your life to show off to people you don't even care about, right? Like I was telling my kids just the other day,
I
I
never
told them,
lied.
I was telling my kids just the other day, with being a doctor, having a PhD, being a BCBA-D, and all the work that I've done within our field, I could make a phone call now and get a six-figure job as some sort of clinical director. And I was like, and I was telling the boys, compared to what I make yearly now, here's the difference. If I was that, we would have a bigger house. You'd have your own room. We'd probably drive fancier cars. But guess what? Dad wouldn't be at your football games.
Not
Dad
even.
wouldn't take you to school. Dad wouldn't pick you up from school. You would only probably see Dad. I'd be gone before you left for school, and I'd be home at dinner time. So which one do you want? You want the bigger house, nicer car, and nicer clothes, but Dad's not around? Or you want, something that makes us all comfortable and we're all feeling loved and Dad's in there at everything you do supporting you?
Like literally waving your flag and making sure that he's got your back. Honestly, that
Yeah,
brings me
yeah,
that brings
man.
me back. Yeah, that brings me back to You honestly, like when I was getting my bachelor's in psychology, as you know, students you gotta get money. So like I was working as a bartender, and I started as a busboy, worked my way up to bartender, made it all the way up to like general manager, and I had like people under me, and I had all this stuff. I was working 70 hours a week. I was working with millionaires. I was talking like I worked like 10 minutes from New York. It was and anybody 22 years old doing what I was doing would be like, wow, like this is awesome. Like I just bought a car, all this stuff. But I wasn't living my life. I wasn't really enjoying my day to day. I was just doing it kind of for the future, like working the now, expecting that the future is going to be better. And it took a lot for me to really take the step and realize that, hey, I want more from life than what I'm doing right now. I'm only going to be in my 20s one singular time. I can either continue this and like, sure, I have millions when in my 30s, this and that, but I wasn't seeing my girlfriend. I wouldn't hang out with my friends because I was working from like till 2, 3 in the morning and stuff. So like I wasn't seeing my friends. My schoolwork was taking a hit. So I was like, okay, where are really my priorities? And since then, and I made the decision to really switch up to a more value oriented life. It's been life changing, truly, not only mentally, but physically and with my relationships and my business. Everything has just overall improved. I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you that it's easy. It's not. Like getting to know yourself is difficult. Getting to know what is it that drives you, it's really hard. But I can assure you that it's better. It's just
Yeah, no, yeah. You need to know your core values from which you live and stand on, right? And that way, every decision you make, if it's not in alignment with your core values, what are you doing it for? If you are seeking happiness or joy in the means of something that's supposed to get it to you in the future, you've missed the point. You've missed the point, right? Like you've missed the point. That you can't find happiness like that. You can't find joy like that if you're not enjoying what you're doing. And it doesn't have to be the exact thing. For example, I don't necessarily enjoy every single day working out. There are some days I don't enjoy it, right?
Mhm.
But I think about how grateful I am that I've got the ability to have a gym in my garage, that I know the skills, that my kids are going to come out and watch me and I'm setting an example, right? We forget some of the things we're grateful. Yeah, we forget some of the things we're grateful for. Like if you want to find happiness in the moment, take a second and just look around you. There's something for you to be grateful for. You know, that beat up car that got you to work and got you to school every day. Stop hating on that car and go wash it.
Yeah.
Show it some love, right? Like, come on, man. Like, you know, there's so much. The fact that you're up and breathing.
My favorite is the phone. Like, because, you know, a lot of people my age, like a lot of people I train specifically my age, like they're like, I hate my phone. This sucks. Like, it's so slow. It's like, I'm like, dude, like, give it a minute. Like, let it go to space and come back and give you any answer in the world that you want. Like, be thankful that you have a whole computer in your pocket. But like, no, most people are just like, they allow their mind and their thought process to get stuck on this, like, oh, I hate my phone. And like, our phones are amazing. Even with a crash screen, even if it's like lagging when you're watching a video, it's magic.
It's context, right? Because we've been granted such great gifts. We lack context sometimes in terms of what's important. The fact that I can get on a piece of metal and fly out of the country in the air like a bird, and I'm complaining that I get a middle seat. What am I really complaining about? Like
every time I'm like, well, you're flying.
Yeah.
You have Wi-Fi.
You know, so, but you know, like that's and quite frankly, I mean, just to kind of bring it back to the ABA thing, like that is where one of the biggest things with respect to behavior analysis and myself, and also the way in which I work with others is, you know, mindset is a mentalistic term we don't talk about, but if you operationally define it, we're just talking verbal behavior as a speaker and listener in the same skin, someone talking to themselves. So I'm constantly checking how I'm talking to myself and how I'm talking to other people. At the same time, you can't just talk to me any old kind of way, right? So that is something that's always playing for me And the more you recognize and identify it, the better you're able to make sure that it's in the direction you want it to. So I'm always doing that with my clients, and really, there's not much you need to do besides hold up a mirror and ask the right questions.
I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. That's a great way to put it. That's a great way to put it. I feel, yeah, I definitely agree on that. I think that a lot of people are, and it's not like I don't want people to like take it personally. It's not necessarily their fault. Again, we're behaviorists, so we know that it's environment. Because of the environment, the society that we live in, our priorities are all screwed up. So a lot of the time, for us to really follow our values, we have to go against society, and that's really difficult to do. And again, to bring it back to the community, that's when community comes in, right? And cool, we have a community. That community is not really going to do anything if we don't have the systems to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, and that's where ABA
Yep.
comes in. And I think it's really important that we have a good balance of all of it, that we understand human behavior, we understand community, we understand ourselves in order to really go for our goals and to make sure that the goals that we are setting are goals that we're going to, something that I tell all my clients, the goals that we're setting right are going to maintain for the rest of our lives. It doesn't make sense for us to just like, oh, I'm going to like run for like 3 months and I'm going to lose this weight. Then what? Like, and then what?
Yeah. And you have to keep in mind that everything has a consequence, and we've put such a negative connotation on consequence. Consequence just means something after the fact, right? Like something's done and there's an effect. But there's always a direct consequence and an indirect consequence, right? The direct consequence is going to happen right there in that moment. As soon as you get done doing the thing, there's going to be something that is an effect right then and there. But there's also an indirect consequence. You got to pay the price for what it is that you want, right? If we're going back to health and fitness, if you want to be healthy and fit, guess what? You may not be able to eat that thing that you love to eat all the time. Guess what? You may not be able to go out. If you want to be super successful in business, you may not be able to go out every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night.
I gotta be real.
Right? There is a price to pay for everything. And that's not saying it in a bad way. It's just meaning that there are consequences, and we got to get real with ourselves about what prices we are willing to pay.
The way that I like to think about this is kind of like, so we live in an instant gratification world. So we can either choose to live in the instant gratification world or really look for like the maintaining results. I mean, the results are going to be long term. And what it boils down to is that instant gratification is always going to win. Like, it's easier, it's faster, it comes right away. The change happens when we go from, all right, I see that instant gratification in there, but I'm going to take the extra step to work towards my goals. Once we start doing that and like basing our decisions on that and making sure that, all right, so am I doing this for the right now feeling good moment? Or am I doing this so I can reach the goals that I want to later on in the world and become the person that I want to become? I feel that a lot of people, once they have that understanding and that kind of like frame of mind, it's easier for them to like start making those value-based decisions. Because we ACT, we understand acceptance commitment therapy and stuff, but I really want to make sure, like, my main purpose is to disseminate ABA to everyone. I want everyone to understand ABA. And not only understand, to implement ABA in their own life, right? And they're all, and something that I've noticed is lacking in this field is that we overcomplicate things, and we tend to teach people way more than they really need to at the time without taking baseline. Like, we're behaviorists. So take your baseline, figure out where they are.
No, there's elegance in simplicity, right? Like,
parsimony.
I don't share everything that I know knowledge-wise with my clients, right? Like, I always use the example, if there's a light broken in my house and I call an electrician, I'm asking them to come over to help me fix the light, not tell me how the electrical grid works in my house. If they wanted to know that, they would have went to school for it, or I would ask you, how does the electrical grid work in my house? So I don't quote unquote, throw our science in people's face. And the other part about instant and delayed gratification, like I'll go even a step further, man. One, when you do the thing that gets the delayed gratification, it starts to outweigh the instant gratification. Now you've had a
Way more
history with it. But
reinforcement.
two, yeah, and two, even if you go even deeper than that, find the instant gratification in the delayed process,
Ooh, yes,
right?
yes.
Like if I can say, all right, I went this day without alcohol and without, processed
That's a
sugars,
win.
you know, that's a win right there. I've checked that off and I'm finding the instant gratification in that as opposed to like, I got to grab this, this cookie right here. That's, this Oreos or whatever. But it's hard. It's hard. We make
Mhm.
it sound like it's so simple, and it's a lot easier when there's someone there helping you, holding you accountable, showing you these skill sets, someone maybe that you hired as a trainer or consultant. To do it on your own is difficult. Like it's difficult. There's no way you think about how many years it's taken people to build up bad habits. How in the world are you just going to stop that in a single day?
You can't. If
Right?
you've
Like
been doing it for 20
it takes
years.
real work.
Hmm. Exactly.
So that's the one thing I never want to come off as or portray for other people is that like one, it's easy because it's not.
Mhm.
Two, like I got it all figured out because I don't. I slip too, right?
Mhm.
Just on Sunday for my son's birthday, like I had zero plans on, having anything to drink at the family barbecue. And like next thing I know, it was 2 o'clock in the morning and things, the kids were asleep, but things were a little way wilder than I thought. You know what I mean?
There it goes.
I'm a human being just like everyone else,
I was on my stream last night. I can tell you that. Like, I had like a bunch of reading for schoolwork to do, and like that's what I was working for. I was like, you know what? I read a bunch of chapters, and I think I deserve some ice cream. And I got some ice cream, and I didn't feel bad about it at all. Like I
No,
put it.
don't feel
I was
bad.
reinforced. Yeah, you don't feel
Yeah.
bad about it. Um, I think it's really important especially for anyone that's getting into fitness. It's building that momentum. Like we were talking about, getting those wins, and finding those instant gratification and the delay gratification is all about finding the small wins. Like really, basically the way that I like to phrase it to my clients, win as many times as you can every day. Like literally, especially in your training, win as many times as you can. Make sure that the behaviors and the training that you're doing is allowing you to reach those wins. So especially when you're choosing a goal, it's a goal that's attainable, and a specific amount of time that you actually can get there. So when you get there, even if it's not your ultimate goal, like let's say you want to do like lose 20 pounds in a year, like you set a goal that I'm gonna go and walk. Let me just use myself as an example. I injured my ankle last year, and I've been like getting better, like last 2 months or something. I haven't been able to run because my ankle was screwed up. But starting like last month, I started to run every morning, and I began running 1 mile around my block because I knew that I was able to do 3 to 4 before easily, 7 miles, like 750 mile, whatever, like easy. But I also knew that if I wanted to keep it going, I needed to build up momentum. So I could go and try for 3 or 4 and maybe get 2 and be super disappointed because I didn't reach my goal. Or I can set up a realistic goal, which is running a mile. And fun fact, I'm doing 1.5 now. And I'm working on that. And I'm adding a little bit more to that criteria and making sure that I'm continuing to grow. Because that's where change happens. If you don't have that consistency, if you're not creating those systems for whatever skill you're learning, it's not gonna stick. Like I guess,
Yeah.
it's not gonna stick.
And that's on the back end. You can also, really make sure to help yourself on the front end by setting up things that are going to be more conducive towards your goal. Like if you want to get up and if you want to get up earlier, right? First off, don't use your phone as your alarm clock. Get an actual alarm clock and set that thing somewhere far enough away from you that you have to get out of bed to turn it off.
Mm-hmm. Or
Right?
you have to turn it
You
off and
want
go
to
back to
take
sleep. Yep.
Yep. You want to take your lunch to work instead of buying Starbucks or, fast food. Make your lunch the night before, and when you put it in the refrigerator, put your car keys on top of your lunch.
Mm-hmm.
You won't forget it, right? You're gonna have to go get it to get it. So there's all these little different tips and tricks to make things the probability of things increase that you're actually going to do them. But again, that's one of the hardest things when it comes to working with clients in terms of fitness, or in terms of just lifestyle and habit change is, I can help you put things into place. But at the end of the day, if you're not following through, you're not putting in the work, don't expect change, because I can't hold your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of my philosophy as a trainer or coach is I won't hold your hand, right? Like I'll get you there. I'll push you beyond the limits you thought you could ever go. But if you don't even show up, I'm not going to go chase you. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a little different in our world, especially with, I always see the struggle with it when we're talking about dealing with individuals, working with individuals with autism or little kids. And it's like, do you know how many clients either that you have or clients that I have in terms of personal training that, or potential clients that would love to work with someone like us and would do everything we ask them to? Why am I going to give myself a headache over someone who keeps arguing and fighting with me about it, right?
You can't help someone
I'm
that
just
doesn't
not.
need help. So you can't help someone that doesn't need help. Honestly,
and that's fine. Do you the way you want to do you, but that's just how I work.
Honestly, just to share a little bit of personal story for myself. My dad struggles with alcoholism. He was clean before COVID hit. He was doing well, and COVID hit, and he kind of went back to it and everything. And then, it just got worse. It continued to escalate. And I would call him. I would message him. I would try everything that I could. And he was just like, no. And not just me, like our family members would reach out to him. Like people that lived right next to him. They were like, no, and he wasn't able to make any progress simply because he didn't accept the help. Not because he wasn't there, not because he didn't have the time or the resources, simply because he felt like he didn't need help. Like he felt like he could do it on his own. And it wasn't until I got a phone call from a family member last month or something telling me that he was almost in the brink of death. Like he was literally just drinking himself to death. He was not eating. He was just drinking all day. And I took a flight to New Jersey last month, and I was like, hey, how can I help you? How can I support you? And it was the first time that he sat with me and cried, and he's like, you know what? I do need help. I need someone to help me. And he's been clean for 14 days now. He's been clean. He's been going to the doctor, getting his checkups. He's been eating again. And it all stemmed not from the resources. It didn't stem from the people around him. It stemmed from his ability to accept help and accept that support. And that's something that I struggle with on myself because, I'm Spanish, I'm a Latino man, machismo. You got to do shit on your own. That's just I learned the hard way by looking at my dad that kills you. That literally kills you. You need support. You need to make sure that you have a support system in place. And again, bringing it back to that community, it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary if you want to reach your fitness goals. I could go into other, but if you want to reach your fitness goals, that community is absolutely necessary. Every time that I've personally been able to accomplish the most in my own fitness goals has been when I've been surrounded by a supportive community. Every other time I've just struggled. If I don't have a community, I feel like I'm by myself.
Well, and if you think about it this way, for most folks, I think it helps to put it in this context. Even if you are a professional athlete on a team, like a football, basketball, or baseball team, or if you're a professional athlete in a solo sport like golf or swimming, they've got trainers and other people around who are constantly working with them there to support them. Nobody is doing it on their own. Nobody who's successful, at least. And even folks who go to the gym and just really work hard, but they end up finding other folks that are part of their tribe who they lift with, who they run with, whatever the case may be, a karate class, who knows? But the idea that people are out here just solo bolo on their own is one that just is not true. If you feel like you're alone, look around.
There's at
Look
least
around
25,000 who like exactly the same thing that you like,
and
or
would
who like
love
the
to,
same thing that you like.
and who would love to have you as a part of the tribe.
Hmm.
Find your tribe. Let your tribe find you, right? Like, there's a tribe for everybody.
It's a try for everyone. I agree. I agree. And a lot of us are like being held back because we're in the wrong tribe. Like we're not taking the time to take a step back. And it's like, hey, but how is my tribe right now supporting me to get to where I want to be? A lot of us don't. I speak to myself because I didn't take the step. I didn't take the time to take a step back and we're like, hey, so the people are in my tribe right now. Are they people that inspire me? Are they people that teach me, that push me? And ever since I started having that mentality, like my tribe has completely just changed, like 180, for the good, of course. And it's not like It's not like I like stopped talking to people or like made enemies and stuff like that. It was just that the time that I was spending and the people that I was learning from are people who actually are going to help me reach my goals. And
Yeah.
it, right? That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Well, and you also have to know yourself well enough to know, right? Like, for example, um, a lot, one of the things I've noticed that I tend to be in other people's tribes for, or let me rephrase that. When it comes to the way I work, my history, what I find reinforcing what works for me, I need someone who's straightforward and honest. If
Mm-hmm.
you're going to give me a bunch of fluff and just be lovey-dovey and lie to me, I can't get down with that. I need someone to be like, Antonio, you are messing up and you got to pull it together. But that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Some people can't handle that. It's like I tell my coaches and with the football players, you got to know your players well enough to know who needs a pat on the back, who needs a kick in the ass, who needs to be left alone, and who needs a combination of the three,
And the only way
right?
for those coaches to find this out is by asking or coaches. Like we have to ask them, hey, how do you prefer feedback? Hey, like if
Yep.
if you're assuming that everyone likes feedback the way you like feedback, you're messing up. That's literally it.
Yep.
You're messing up. That the first step to giving any kind of like coaching or any instruction to anyone is figuring out how they prefer that to be delivered. Otherwise, like they might listen to you, they might even actually like do it for a little bit, but the likelihood for them to like keep it going is really low. It's really, really low because at the end of the day, you're not following their reinforcers. You're not really following their preferences. And
No,
if
it's
you're not
it's
starting with reinforcement, then you're starting wrong. Like,
well, it's interesting. Just like to give you three varying examples.
mhm.
I've got one of the best football players I've ever coached. He didn't want he wanted to be invisible. He doesn't want praise. Don't pull him up in front of the audience and say how great he is. You just let him be in the background and you come whisper to the side what you need him to do with feedback, and that's it. He did not want to be in the spotlight. One of the clients I train one on one, she has a fitness goal, but what I'm really there for is the social praise, for the attention, to have that reciprocating conversation that feels like he's giving me workouts, but also like I just feel comfortable and I feel this is somewhere I can be safe. And then my group of ladies I coach, it's five of them. All of them except for one works in education, so they have this strong rule governed behavior. They know how to follow rules, give rules. If I give them any decision, they hate it. They're like, I don't want to. I make decisions all day. Tell me what I need to do, and I come here to get my ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
Those are their words. And
Yeah,
so I
I
have to
was
be
doing
able
teachers
to.
like
I have to
that.
be. I've got to be able to mold myself to fit
Yeah.
for my client.
That's what makes a really great leader. Like if you're not able to adapt to the people that you're coaching and leading, then it's gonna be really hard for you to really coach them and get them to where they need to be. So at the end of the day, like it's not about you as a leader; it's about them and making sure that they win. Like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
where you stand. Like I don't care. Like it doesn't matter how you prefer feedback or how you seen that like another client of yours like prefers feedback. What does the person that's in front of you prefer it? Like what is it that they're looking for? How can we reinforce their behavior so they can win? Because that's
I can I can be the most knowledgeable
yeah.
football coach on the planet, but if we're just getting our ass kicked every single Friday night,
Dumb.
right, and the
You
kids
guys got
don't
your butt kicked
enjoy
last
it,
week, though, right? I think I saw.
oh yeah, And we're gonna find out what my coaching skills are made of this Friday.
Well,
How do we respond from
well,
being
that.
destroyed and in 7 days having to do it all again, right? So if we come out and the same thing happens, that's not on those kids. That's on me.
Mhm.
That's on me. What did I not do properly in terms of preparation and getting them prepared to be successful? Is there some case of Jims and Joes, like you just got better athletes? Sure. But all that does is tell you the varying degree of how bad you lose, right?
Mm.
Versus the way in which you lose. But at the end of the day, that's on me, not those kids. Those kids are putting their faith in me to be the coach that I'm supposed to be, to help put them in the best position to succeed.
Yeah, I love it. Exactly. And I feel like a lot of coaches specifically, and a lot of people in leadership positions, because I've worked in ABA clinics and stuff. They don't understand that. Like they tend to focus more on their own behavior and their own preferences rather than making sure that their downline is growing and being better. Because at the end of the day, like once you understand that if the people who are learning from you are growing, then you are also growing. That's literally just, and you grow more, way more, because you're gaining not only your experience, but you're gaining their experience as well, and you can use that in your own life. And I don't know, it's just,
And
it doesn't even have to-
it all ties back into that notion of community as well. If I'm doing something to help you grow in the direction you want to grow, and that thing that you want to do gets built or gets done, I've got a connection with you for life. You're now someone I can always go to, or you can always come to me, and it doesn't have to be about what I'm getting out of it, right? And that's the way I always approach it. There's people that I mentor or work with and supervise, and like my goal is to make sure that you are so well prepared, you don't ever need me again. You just want me around.
Yes, exactly. I feel like, especially like, how can I say, non-ABA coaches, they want people to come back. They want people to come back and like want people to like, I want to coach you for 20 years. My goal is for you to become independent and know everything that I know, so you can do it on your own. So that if I die tomorrow, you're good for 3 years. You know exactly what to do. You know exactly how to like research your exercises. You know exactly how to take your own baseline, how to look at your data, how to make any changes. If I'm not teaching you that stuff, then like you're immediately you're gonna be dependent on me, and that defeats the whole purpose. That defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah. No. I'm not trying to, it's the give someone a fish versus teaching them how to fish, right? Like that's the goal. There's no need for me to be there forever. Quite frankly, if I'm there always and you can't do anything without me, I haven't done my job very well.
It's not maintaining.
Right. Like I tell my football players at the beginning of every year, the moment I know that I have done my job is when during a game, I don't have to make any calls. You guys can make them yourself, because you're so prepared and know what's going on, and we're so linked in what we should be doing that I can just sit up in the booth, take my headphones off, and watch and enjoy the game because you guys got it all locked.
That's it. That's the whole goal. That's the whole goal for any kind of coaching. And yeah, there's a lot of, I've been reading a lot of books on team building, and you see a lot of people who structure their teams or like, and kind of like a pyramid. Like they're at the top and they're not necessarily working as like together. They're just telling everyone what to do, and their expertise is kind of like secret. It's kind of to themselves. They're not really sharing, it holds back the people that you're coaching, in my opinion. And that's what I've seen from like my own experience, from the research that I've learned, from the books that I've read of people who have been massively successful in creating successful teams. And you're clearly one of them, because even took an L last week. I know you guys took an L last week. Like you're still able to continue and you keep back and you keep training. That's what makes a successful team. Not like it's being able to get up after you take that out. That's literally what makes a successful team. And that's what makes a successful person. That's what makes a successful leader. And honestly, I think we went over like all the stuff that I wanted to go over. I really don't want to take much more of your time. You gave me a lot of amazing information. I think anyone watching this is going to get a lot from this as well. Um, yeah, is there anything you would like to add though? Anything that you any shout outs you want to give or anything that you have going on that you want to check out? Like
No, I guess the only thing I'll share when it comes to community, fitness, anything that is necessarily something you want to change in your life. I'll say this: you don't have to do nothing. You don't. You don't. Right? And there's nothing that tells me that I'm right in what I'm saying or suggesting the way things should be. But I can tell you this: if you want to do something, anything, even if it's something that's not good for you, if you are consistent, you will get good. If you stay consistent, you'll get good at anything. And there's a lot of different ways to help with that consistency, to change certain habits, to build different habits and lifestyles. But know that it's a lot easier when you got help. So
just so much easier when you got help. I wholeheartedly agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I think that's a beautiful way to end it. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me once again.
no
I think
worries,
the
man.
first
I
time
appreciate
that
it too.
I did it live because I feel like the conversations that we have are conversations that more people should listen to. I think they're really, really helpful because I know there's other people out there who hopefully are in the same position that I'm in right now or where you were a couple of years ago. Hopefully this could be helpful to them. I really appreciate you though.
For sure, man.
Stay in touch. I'll definitely reach out to you because we got to start working. I haven't even told you about this before I leave, but I've been talking to this school and they want me to be their PE teacher.
Nice.
Yeah, and come into the 2 hours a day and like just kind of just train everybody there. It's
There
really,
you
really
go.
awesome. Yeah, so I'm starting there soon. So I'm gonna have you come in and like hopefully supervise and like making sure I'm like staying on top of everything.
For sure, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Congrats. And
thank you, thank you.
I'll be keeping an eye out for your email, and we'll talk soon, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Take care. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Okay.
Much love always, bro.
Much love always.